You hear this word all the time, right? Especially at certain points in the year. But have you ever stopped to think about how well we really know the word tax? Today we're going to dive in and deconstruct it, using the Simple English Wiktionary as our guide. And trust me, you might be surprised by what we find. So let me just ask you this straight up. How many ways can you use the word tax? Seriously, take a second. Most of us probably land on one, maybe two meanings, but you're about to see just how flexible this little four-letter word actually is. All right, let's kick things off with what we all think we know. We'll start with the most common, everyday meaning of tax. You know, build a solid foundation before we start exploring the other, more interesting layers.
And, yep, there it is, the definition we're all familiar with. When tax is a noun, it's simply the money that a government collects. You know, to pay for roads, schools, all that stuff. Pretty straightforward, right? The key here is to think of tax as a tangible thing, the money itself.
This example sentence really hits the nail on the head. The city is raising taxes again. Here, the word taxes is a plural noun. It's referring to the actual piles of money being collected. This is the version you're going to hear on the news or read in headlines all the time.
But here's where it gets interesting. Tax isn't just a thing. It's also an action. It's something that can be done to someone or something. And this is where the word really starts to show its versatility.
So this first verb form is tied right back to the noun we just talked about. To tax someone is the act of making them pay that money. It's really like two sides of the same coin. The noun is the money, and this verb is the action of taking it. And this sentence shows it perfectly. Governments tax poor people. See, here, tax isn't a thing, it's what the government is actively doing. It's the action, the process of making people pay up.
Okay, now this is the cool part. This is where the word takes this amazing metaphorical leap. The idea of a financial burden, something that takes your money, gets stretched to mean any kind of burden. So an activity that is taxing is one that drains your resources, but not your money. We're talking about your energy, your focus, your patience. It's a fantastic example of how our language grows and changes. And just like any other regular verb in English, tax has to change its clothes depending on how you use it. You've got the simple form, tax. For the third person, it's taxes, like she taxes her brain. The past tense is taxed, and of course, there it is, taxing. That's the one that gives us that awesome metaphorical meaning of something being difficult or draining. So, we've got the different meanings down, from money to mental effort. But there's one more layer to peel back. The actual sound of the word. Let's dig into the mechanics of how we say tax.
Whoa, okay, that might look a little technical, right? But don't worry, it's actually pretty simple. This is the International Phonetic Alphabet, or IPA, and it's basically a universal code for how words are pronounced. It shows us that tax is said tax. That as symbol in the middle, that's just the as sound like in the word cat. So it's a really sharp, simple sound. T, a, x.
And that pronunciation leads us to a really fun quirk of the English language. Tax is what we call a homophone. It sounds exactly like another word that means something totally different. In this case, it sounds identical to tax, you know, those little sharp pins you push into a corkboard. The pronunciation, tax, is exactly the same for both. The only way you can tell them apart is by the context of the sentence.
So let's wrap this all up. This one little word that we thought was so simple is actually doing a ton of work in our language. It's a noun for money. It's a verb for taking that money. It's another verb form to describe anything that's difficult. And to top it all off, it's a homophone that sounds just like taxes. We've gone from one basic definition to a much richer, more complete picture. And that really gets you thinking, doesn't it? We just totally unpacked the word tax, a word most of us probably use without even thinking about it. So what other simple words in your vocabulary might be holding some hidden secrets? What word are you going to look at a little differently from now on? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.